The Adventures of Harman Phoenix on a half-frame camera from the 80s. Hey everyone, it's VM Campos, film fan, and welcome to the latest episode of Film Friday. This is the series where I talk about film on a Friday. So yes, this is yet another video on Harman Phoenix 200, the brand new kid on the block, the newest color film to hit the market. You all know about it. You've seen 1,000,001 videos by now about Phoenix. Let me throw my hat into the ring and have my own video on Harman Phoenix. What am I going to do differently than the rest? Well, I'm going to shoot this on a different kind of a camera. I'm going to shoot Harman Phoenix on the Samurai X4, a half-frame camera from the 80s. So yeah, by now you've seen the variety of people's work on Phoenix and how, out of the box, it has certain characteristics, and if you kind of play around with it in different ways, you get different results. So in my case, I'm going to shoot with a completely automatic camera, but I'm not going to shoot it at ISO 200. I'm going to shoot it at ISO 100. Plus, I'm also going to shoot this on a half-frame camera. So introducing the Kyocera Yashica Samurai X4. This is the successor to the Samurai X3. This has got a 4 times zoom range from 25 to 100. So yeah, this is pretty cool. A pretty wide, actually a very wide angled field of view all the way to 100 millimeters. Now, f-stops are from f3.8 to 4.8, so not amazing for an amazing amount of bokeh, but if you know the tricks to get great bokeh in a shot, you can get some nice bokeh. So in this video, I'll show some shots that I've taken in various other film stocks, as well as the shots that I've taken with Harman Phoenix 200. So if you're in the market for your very own Yashica Samurai, there's a few of them out there, and these are starting to creep up in price a little bit on the secondary market, on eBay and so forth. They're kind of rare-ish, but what's funny is I bought this, no joke, from a thrift store for like $5, but 10 years ago. Now, I was into film back in the early 2000s, then I moved into digital, then I got back into film in around 2012, and at that time I was trolling thrift stores and just finding lots of deals because no one cared about film photography in 2012. And so I picked this up for like $5. Then I put it away, I went back to digital for a while, and then I got back into film in 2023, and I dug up this camera and I've been enjoying it again. So this camera's from around 1988. Mine is in pretty good shape. There is a little bit of a scratch on the lens. You can see it right there, but it doesn't really affect shooting. And the big selling point is that it's a half-frame camera, so you get double the shots out of one roll. You open it up here, you pop the film in there, it loads up, and it's all completely automatic. It's DX coded, or that is, it can read DX coded film. It's just a set it and forget it type of a camera. And it works great. The optics are very nice. The zoom level is good. You can get up to about 1 meter close. That's the secret to getting great bokeh. Get as close as you can to your subject and then have separation in the background, and that'll create some great bokeh. Okay, so anyway, batteries. Batteries are also kind of unique. You need to use these 2 CR5 type of batteries. I'm going to add the battery and I'm going to load that Harman film and take some shots. Put it in there. Easy. Screw it back in. And automatically we have power. We have a display. Now the camera's off. So to turn it on, the film is going to go in here. Let me just show you something. This freaks people out when they first get this camera. So if you open it up and you've got a battery and you don't put film inside, this is what happens. It sounds like it's freaking out, but no, that is normal, because what is happening is if you do open up the film compartment and put film in and close it, it's going to automatically advance to the first shot. And so this is normal. So that was a tour of the various modes of the Samurai X4. Now finally, let's load up a brand new roll of film onto the camera and start taking some shots. Now, as I've said, you've already seen 1,000 Phoenix photos out there, and most people will say, yeah, overexpose it. You want some definition within your shadows, overexpose it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna shoot out in bright light as much as possible. And I'm gonna overexpose to ISO 100. Now, the Samurai does not have ISO override. It is based on DX coding. If it doesn't have DX coding, it'll default down to 100. Now also what you can do to hack your film is to just buy these little ISO override stickers to then override your DX coded film. There's a lot of cameras out there, especially the point and shoot ones, that don't have a way to override. And so one way around it is to buy these little stickers. So I'm going to override the 200 ISO on this, but I'm going to open it up actually. And this will be the first time I ever open up Harman Phoenix 200. So it's kind of interesting to see everyone else's YouTube videos on this film, but then to open it up myself, it's a different experience. And if you've never opened up the package like this, you should do so at least once. So what is this? I never see anyone showing these on their videos. Introducing Harman Phoenix 200. Now my camera's kind of overexposed, but we further have the Phoenix symbology there. Follow them on their various social media and so forth. This is a limited edition and be a part of the story right there. So yep, that's the secrets there. And did you notice the spot finish on the package itself? There's parts that are glossy and parts that are not. That's a spot coding for you graphic design nerds. I have a degree in graphic design, so I notice these things. All right, so loading up the film. And yep, this is the amazing color to this emulsion. Here's the DX coding that shows that this is ISO 400. And instead I'm gonna override it so that it's ISO 200. The various silver and black denote various things about the film. So I'm gonna override it. Go. The other information here is about the number of exposures, which some cameras know and others don't. So the important part is here. Now I've said, okay, this is an ISO 100 film. So loading it up into the camera. Open that up there. So this goes down here. Fits snugly there, no problem. Pull it up to the orange, just about right there. Then close it. There we are, we're at shot number 1. The camera's ready to shoot. Now minimum focus distance is 1 meter, but I'll try to take a shot, trust me. All right, I'm sure that'll come out weird. Here it is on screen. All right, so we're ready to shoot 72 shots at ISO 100. My very first roll of Harman Phoenix 200. And through the magic of editing, I'm back. I've now shot all 72 exposures. Actually, I got 76 exposures. And that's partly, again, because I hacked the DX code. Normally, a DX code also marks how many shots there are on a roll, and if a camera pays attention to that, it'll diligently shoot that many. But by hacking the DX code, it didn't know how many I had, and it kept going until it ran out of film. So I got 76 shots out of this. All right, so after the last shot, it automatically winds itself back down to 0 shots. And now it's time to take out the film. There you go, easy. The camera does not see any more rolls of film in there, and then it powers off. So yep, here's my very first roll of Phoenix 200. Hacked with the DX code, and so I'm overexposing one stop. As most people seem to say, that is a good idea with Harman Phoenix 200. Next up, let me show you my techniques to converting these negatives into some amazing photography with just plain old Photoshop and some good old know-how. Let's check that out. All right, here I am in Adobe Bridge, where I've got all the shots that I took with my Yashica Samurai and the Harman 200 film. Now, I've got a process that I think works very well to get some great results with this film stock. A lot of people are saying that they're having a hard time getting good results. And overall, I think I got very good results with the process that I do. Now, I don't use Negative Lab Pro. I do it all handcrafted Photoshop, and I'll show you my technique. I think I'll do it with this shot here. So I'll load up the original RAW file. I did some self-scanning actually with my Canon Rebel T2i and a 50mm lens at f11. My technical details are that this was at ISO 100, 1/8 of a second, f11 aperture, and daylight balanced. So the original negative. I'll load this up in plain old Photoshop and I'll show you my conversion technique. The Yashica was the half-frame camera, so I've got 2 shots per scan, but I'm only going to focus on one of the 2 frames, and that'll be this lower frame here. So I'll just crop that out first. Just a regular old crop with the crop tool. What's fascinating about this film is that there is no orange base to neutralize, and which often gets in the way to get good results with other film stock. This is just plain old invert as our starting point. Invert the negative. I did the keyboard shortcut, but that's the same as image adjustment invert. All right, so our color's a little bit weak. From here, we have a few techniques that then we can improve the negative. I'm going to make a duplicate of that particular layer, Control J, Command J, which is also found in the menus, layer, duplicate layer. From this duplicated layer, image, auto tone. Very nice. I'm bringing out more of the colors, contrast, and so forth. Again, compare with just a conversion like that, very weak results. Auto tone gives you that result. Now, what I also like to do is just to contrast it. So I'm going to make another duplicate, and this time I will do image auto color. You get slightly different results in those 2 ways. Here's auto tone, here's auto color. Auto color is leaning slightly green, or is it that auto tone is leaning slightly magenta? Either or, there's a little bit of a subtle difference between the 2. At this point, it's up to you which of those 2 that you like. I think I like it the slightly warmer, more magenta version. I can further go in and adjust the levels over at Image, Adjustment Levels. If I want to play with some of the contrast and brightness, I like to have a little bit more drama, bump up the contrast 10 units, bring down the highlights 10 units, and then maybe go to 1.2, 1.4, that might be a bit bright, 1.2. There's before my changes, there's after my changes. At this point, it's very subjective what you like. What you like is perfectly valid. This is your film, your negatives, your vision. Yes, you can use the various plugins to have it do it for you, but when you roll up your sleeves and work on the negatives yourselves, you can get great results. And I think I got some really good results when I shot this Harman 200 at ISO 100 with my half-frame Yashica Samurai. Look at that bloom happening with the missing anti-halation layer, just the color spilling out forth there. Yeah, it's still very grainy. The grain is looking nice. The optics of that camera gave me some pretty sharp results. Very nice detail. And after tweaking the negatives a bit, this is my end result. Let's do it again with another negative. How about this landscape? So I'll crop out the frame to the one that I want to work on. Invert the colors, duplicate the layer, auto tone. There's the result. Maybe needs a little bit of brightness. 1.2 on the gamma. And comparing before and after. Nice dramatic colors, contrast is nice compared to the original, and I could tweak the results endlessly, but starting with an image auto tone and a very nice scan gives great results. Zooming in just to see the details, yeah, it's a very grainy film stock, and I suppose technically this was slightly underexposed because the dynamic range is not the best for this film stock, but that's alright. Here we expose mostly for the highlights, the clouds came out nice, but then the shadows, those mountains off in the distance, they're getting a little bit even grainier, losing the definition there. I have noticed that on underexposure you do get some blotches here and there. You can see some of these blue blotches here and there in the underexposed portions. But in the totality of the image, I like the contrast between the bright and the dark. Clouds were starting to roll in, so we've got blue tones throughout. One more conversion, I've got some nice flowers that I can convert over here. This was a close-up shot of some berries which I'm sure are poisonous. When we bring it into plain old Photoshop, then the sky is the limit. You just need to know a little bit of the software. I learned Photoshop way back in the 90s, and I've just improved my technique throughout the decades. Ooh, that's nice. Those colors are just coming in very, very well. Those greens and those reds are epic. Just give it a little bit more drama, bump up the contrast, brightness right there, and then maybe even tweak it with even more saturation and color. That might be too much, but tell me what you think. Overpower it with green. Zooming in to 100%, super grainy for a 200 ISO film. Even though actually, technically it's like at 123.456 ISO, something like that. Super, super grainy. But we're seeing version 1.0 of this film released to the public. And again, I shot this as a half frame, which automatically halves the quality of the negative. You're going from the full-size 35mm negative to half of that. So on blow-ups, yeah, you're gonna see a lot of the grain. But isn't that part of the aesthetic? Isn't that why we shoot film? Isn't that why we've moved away from pristine digital photography? Give me some of that grain. And with a little bit of Photoshop trickery, no extra plugins required, you can get some nice results out of Harman Phoenix 200. So those are my techniques, some various ways that I can get the best out of a roll of Phoenix 200. Negative Lab Pro is everyone's favorite way to do a negative conversion, but if you know the secrets behind the scenes with just plain old Photoshop, you know, why pay for an extra app if you can just do it yourself with even more control in Photoshop? That's my technique right there. I'd like to hear what your hands-on negative conversions are. Tell me in the comments. And as you saw there, I have a variety of diptychs that I shot. 2 images that kind of form together as a complete thought. That's one way to shoot half-frame photos. Instead of 72 individual photos, what about if you take 2 photos at a time of the same subject but in different ways? Close up, far away, this angle, that angle. That's a way to take advantage of the half-frame format and not feel like you've got too many shots to take. So as we wrap up, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that good stuff. Perhaps go over to the Patreon, patreon.com/vmcampos, and consider pledging for $3.33 a month. What a deal. You help out the channel, you keep it going, you keep it funded, you become one of the few, the proud, those that actually contribute back to the creators that create all the amazing stuff that you like. $3.33 a month at patreon.com/vmcampos. Consider it. In any event, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you in the next episode of Film Fridays.